The internet is filled with internet mysteries, and 2024 has been no exception. Over the last year, we've seen strange stories come to light that range from incredibly disturbing to just bizarre. So tonight, since it's the new year, we are going on a journey through the dark depths of the internet to discuss one mystery from every month of last year. Before we get into the topics, I just wanted to thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you enjoy, a like and subscribe would mean the world, but without further ado, let's step into the darkness. January, fake amusement park. Imagine you're trying to make a phone call. You type in the number, but without realising it, you've made a mistake. Instead of connecting with who you intended to speak to, you're instead met with this message.
Thank you for calling the Fun Dragon Wings Happy Zone. Located off of State Highway 687, just 4 miles past Jessicur's Blueberry Farm, the Fun Dragon Wings Happy Zone offers a multitude of fun and events for the whole family. Enjoy a fun-filled day in the swings and on a tilt-a-whirl, or cool off on an exhilarating ride on the zoomy, splashy water slide. We have pony rides, a petting zoo, a weekly knit-your-own mittens club, and a weekend marble rolling contest for all ages. There are rides and splashies for everyone. Wow! Satiate your munchies at our dragon-themed food court. Feast on offerings such as pizza, funnel cakes, and popcorn. Or chow down on our famous dragon flame grilled burgers and hot dogs. So, come on out and join us, because the Dragon Wings Happy Zone is a roaring good time. Roar!
At the tone, please record your message.
The user who found this number says that they're making a spreadsheet of 1-800 numbers and stumbled upon this during their research. They immediately took to Google to find out more about this amusement park, since the message had certainly piqued their interest. But to their surprise, the search would bring up no results. It was like this message was from a different universe, because as far as we were concerned, Fun Dragon Wings Happy Zone had never existed. There was absolutely no trace of it to be found on the internet. As you just heard, after the man speaks for a while, the voicemail then prompts you to leave a message. If this was simply an advertising line, it seems strange that they would give you that option in the first place. This got some people thinking that it may not be an advertisement for a real theme park, but rather an ARG. Or at least an attempt at one. Further solidifying the theory that this was some sort of project is that if you hit the star key during the phone call, you would be greeted with a voice requesting a 4-digit code. It was quickly discovered that the code was ROAR, in number form 7627, and upon entering it, you would be taken to another voice that said that the message line had been disabled, and that the owner needed to contact the system administrator. This also kind of adds to the theory that this was a failed attempt at an ARG, because if someone had given up in the project, they may have kept the number but would have had no reason to keep the voicemail box active. But what's even more strange is that as soon as people figured out the PIN number, it changed. If this really was an abandoned project and you couldn't leave a voicemail anyway, why would the owner of the number feel the need to change the PIN code after all these years? Interestingly enough, there's a website that allows you to view who owns 1-800 numbers. And if we enter this number, we can find out that it's owned by a company called X Telecommunications. Better yet, we can see that it's apparently not been updated since 1994. Now, admittedly, I don't really know how phone numbers work and what this last update is referring to, so if you can give some insight on that, then please do in the comments. Does this indicate that it could have really been a real place back in the 90s? Or is this just when the number itself was last updated? It's very interesting to me, so if you have any leads, let me know in the comments, and hopefully we can figure this out together. February, grave robbing for morons update. Grave robbing for morons, a mysterious internet video that has haunted users for many years. It shows a young man in a room explaining how to rob graves and steal bones, all while offering the viewer very specific advice, indicating that he's speaking from experience and that this isn't some sort of prank. It looks like it originates from the 80s or 90s considering how the VHS degradation looks, but for years there has been no solid answer as to the actual origin of the video, until 2024, when one of the most convincing theories came to light. Let me introduce you to a man called Matthias Frias. Frias was arrested in 1991 when he was 21 years old in relation to a series of grave robberies. By the time he had been charged, he had stolen at least 5 skulls, from bodies that had been in Brooklyn's Cypress Hill Cemetery for over 100 years. He admitted to selling them on, and he seemed to be decent at what he did, which was grave robbing. Now, although no photos are available of Frias during 1991, we can place the time of grave robbing for morons around that time period. In the video, there's a VHS for Evil Dead 2, meaning that the video could not have taken place before 1987. There is also a magazine released in 1989 nearby, meaning that it has to also be after that. So with a year set, likely the 90s, it was time for people to start deciding where it took place. People had been able to place a rough location, with many American investigators getting involved to place the accent, and it was generally decided that he must have been from New York, with some of the things he says in the video also pointing towards that fact. With all that in mind, it seemed that Frias was a definitive choice for who the man in the video was, right? Well, I wanted to be sure. We can find out that Frias was arrested again in 2019 for domestic assault. It took place in February of that year, and now closing in on his 50s, he had barricaded himself inside the home when police came looking. He was eventually convinced to surrender and taken into custody, and this time there was a mugshot that was published by the press. This is Frias, and if I show you a side by side, a lot of people think that he looks incredibly similar to the man in the video, and honestly, I see it. The ages match up in regards to the original grave robberies, and he even shared one of the original articles about that 1991 crime on his Facebook, so there's really no doubt that he was the one that was arrested back then. Now, it has been stated that the robberies may have been linked with a New York cult, and this cult apparently had hundreds of members, so realistically it could have been any of them. But I personally think that he does look very similar to the man in the video, but I suppose we'll never know for sure. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you think this theory has solved the infamous internet mystery. March 2006 Christmas video. The holiday season is behind us, but this Christmas-themed internet mystery is far too bizarre to ignore. I think you'll want to see the video for yourselves, so have a watch. Strange, right? A user brought this to the Internet Mysteries subreddit last year, and although some people just brushed it off as an art project, some users were determined that they had seen it before. In the original post, someone in the comments said that they had seen it before on Newgrounds. It scared them so badly and they thought it had been deleted, so when they saw this pop up on their feed, they were understandably quite surprised. The resolution in the video does seem off because there's an odd black border around it, indicating that this may be a screen recording. Apparently, this type of animation was incredibly popular back then, especially on Newgrounds, and it's known as animation. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's basically just weird animation like this video, and it's honestly the type of thing you would expect from the 2000s internet. Users thought that they may have found a lead when they discovered that the original channel uploading this was subscribed to another channel that uploaded animations in a similar vein. The channel was called Irradiatus, and you can kinda see how people thought they were close in style, maybe even being created by the same person. but this was debunked when the owner of the channel was actually contacted by someone investigating the mystery, and then he came on the Reddit post and commented saying that that channel was simply a place where he would upload his videos when he was originally experimenting with CGI, confirming that they had nothing to do with the creepy Christmas video. But I think this in a way answers our question, because if the user was subscribed to Irradiatus, then it likely means he was simply an avid viewer of this style of animation, therefore probably adding weight to the original theory that this originated from Newgrounds. It would be great to have a solid answer to this though, but with time ticking on, it's likely we'll never know. If you recognise this video though, or you want to try and solve the origin yourself, then please do let me know your thoughts. April, Matt Pappas 1. People hurting themselves for others' entertainment on the internet is nothing new, but new instances are still being found to this day. In April, a channel called Matt Pappas 1 was discovered on YouTube. It contained 6 videos, all with a decent amount of views thanks to YouTube pushing it to the recommended page heavily for some reason, and they all originated back to 2010. I can't show the videos unblurred here for obvious reasons, but I can explain them to an extent. Let's take the first video on the channel for example, which is called Cactus Slap. It's basically what it says on the tin. It's a video of a man slapping himself in the face with an actual cactus. He's a middle-aged man with protective glasses and protective gloves, and he just slaps himself. But believe it or not, this video would actually be outdone by the outrageous acts that followed. In the next video, he would nail his foot to a skateboard. This one is recorded by someone other than himself, and he introduces the man behind the channel as Matt Pappas, confirming that that is his actual name. The cameraman tells him not to do it, but Matt ignores him and proceeds with the video. After a solid 8 minutes of skating around the neighbourhood nailed to the board, Matt and the cameraman sit down on the sidewalk and hammer it out the other side. It won't budge, and you can actually hear the worry in his voice, so the cameraman has to physically pry it out. The video cuts off shortly after, with Matt clearly in a lot of pain. The actions continue to get more extreme in the next 3 videos, as in the first one of these 3, he nails a hammer through his foot. In the second and third, part 1 and part 2, he attaches a horseshoe to himself, but it is so painful that he can't go through with it, having to take it off early and end the video prematurely. In the final video on the channel, titled Relativity, he puts his hand in a frying pan that is currently on the stove. After this, he disappeared from the internet and has never returned with any more stunts. It's likely that this was an attempt to be the next Jackass show just because the videos do give off that vibe. Making sure the angle is right, announcing his name, even naming his stunts, it all kind of points to that. I wouldn't recommend seeking them out because I'm not the most squeamish, but even these made me a bit uncomfortable. I really hope that Matt is in a much better mental state now, because if he was doing this, and he clearly can't have been at the time, even if this was just an attempt at being a celebrity. Maybe after that final stunt, he realised how crazy all of this was, that it wasn't worth it for the views, and decided to stop for good. Fingers crossed that he is doing much better now and is in good health. May, Capture Creature. This mystery seems like something right out of an analog horror, but I promise you it's real. I've had this one on my radar for a while and was actually going to include it in the next installment of Obscure Internet Mysteries, but I thought it would fit in perfectly here. Last year, while a user was signing into Valorant, they completed a captcha question where they were asked to click on the entity similar to these 3 silhouettes. In the interactable section, there were 5 crabs and 1 creepy creature. And this isn't the only example of this, as there are many screenshots of the same thing. So let's crack the case here. What is going on? The likely answer is that this is an AI trying to generate robots. When you ask an AI to generate a human nowadays, it can do it with ease, apart from having some mistakes with odd amounts of fingers and stuff like that. But what it isn't great at doing is generating non-human entities, exactly like what we see here. This could also be a test for AI to recognise human objects, or objects that are similar to a human. The creator feeds the AI 3 silhouettes, and when the user clicks on one that's similar, it runs it by them, blah blah blah, you get the gist. It makes sense to look at it like this, but this is still very creepy and unnerving, just by the fact that even the AI knows that it isn't human and describes it as the entity. We all know that the AI scrapes the internet for things while making art and other generative stuff, and with the amount of horror content out there, I suppose that this was always bound to happen, and it probably shouldn't have taken this long. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert in AI and can explain this away, but if anyone in the comments watching this can offer some more insight, then please do be my guest, because I would love for someone to fully explain why we're seeing creepy captures like this. June, Lost YouTube video. A Reddit user turned to the Help Me Find subreddit, desperately asking for help to find a video they only knew by the title, Play 2. They first discovered this video when Watch Data released a video going over the creepiest YouTube videos. It goes from the most viewed to the least, and finally on the list is Play 2, which at the time that Watch Data released their video was sitting at only 77 views. A truly obscure piece of content. The description that they give simply says, "User Mother8538 gives the viewer a stark warning that the worst is yet to come." And that's all that OP had to go off. The Watch Data video was uploaded in 2022, and Play 2 got a massive influx of views as a result of the promotion. It didn't take long for YouTube to take down the channel, and with how obscure the video had stayed for so long, no one had the chance to archive it. And even the Wayback Machine had nothing. Or at least that's what was thought. Until a video by user False or True was found on a smaller video sharing website. It was through this re-upload that we could see the thumbnail, someone holding a lighter looking ready to ignite. But sadly, the search would reach a dead end here as a re-upload had been taken down. It was discovered by a user on the Internet Mysteries subreddit though that it had been uploaded to yet another website. It had been taken down again sadly, but this time a user had managed to give an explanation of what it had contained. They described it as follows. The video starts with a black screen with hello written on it. Then the protagonist plays with a lighter, and the screen turns black again with "I'm going to do it" written on it, and then ends. It seems like the Watch Data description of a very eerie warning was certainly correct. The user who described the video also described some other ones on the channel. The person who brought the screenshots to the subreddit didn't include the user's full descriptions, but we can see a cutoff of one, in which he describes it in a way that essentially makes it sound like it was a gore video. In the screenshot, they also have a photo of the channel when the videos were still up, proving that it did exist in one point and that this isn't just some hoax. And even though the Wayback Machine didn't manage to archive the actual videos before they were taken down, it did manage to screenshot the channel. Taken in 2020, we can see that there are 5 videos, titled Play, Wait, Think, Punish, and Play 2. They were uploaded around 2015 and the most popular one at the time had just over 1,000 views. This is all we have so far, and if the video will ever be found, I'm not sure. With YouTube having taken the channel down for obvious reasons and the re-uploads being gone, it seems that the only way that video could still exist is if someone has a copy of it in their computer. It could also still be up on an even more obscure video sharing platform, so if you want to help find Play 2, then take all of this information and let me know your finds in the comments. July, Smart Schoolboy 9. Dating as far back as 2021, Smart Schoolboy 9 is a disturbing internet rabbit hole that caught the attention of internet sleuths and popular content creators like Nexpo and Nick Crowley. It all started when an account called Truthsticks11 was found. The person behind it claimed to be a 12-year-old boy and his mum, and it even posted pictures of the boy like this one, which look incredibly creepy. The face seemed digitally altered, with big red lips and piercing blue eyes. Some of the pictures even veered into the territory of concerning, prompting people to try and figure out what disturbed individual was behind this account. And during the search, people would discover a second account called GirlChloe12. This one was apparently run by a 13-year-old girl who had an obsession with high heels, something that Truthsticks11 had also made apparent through their posts. With all of this in mind, it didn't take long for sleuths to come to the conclusion that these two accounts were run by the same person, and that this was sadly some sort of fetish content with a disturbing focus on children. And to make it even worse, a third account would come to light, and this one was by far the most unnerving. It was called Smart Schoolboy 9, and featured a lot of pictures of a clearly adult man dressed as a schoolboy. It came across as incredibly creepy, with his face appearing incredibly pale with red lipstick. He was also wearing high heels, and with this discovery, people were almost certain that he was behind all of these accounts. And disturbingly, he would post videos showing himself around the area of a real school. And in one clip, he even shows himself chasing after a young boy while he giggles. With background checks carried out on the images of children that he had posted to his profile, it was determined that they were original and hadn't been sourced from the internet. This added a whole new disturbing layer to it, as this indicated that he had been reaching out to kids privately, filling them with his schoolboy persona and getting real pictures, and all the evidence backed this up. It's been decided that he likely lives in London and that his name is David. And with nothing confirmed, although we can't know his true intentions, it's safe to say that kids should stay far away from him. The situation became so mainstream that schools around the UK even had to issue warnings about Smart Schoolboy 9. Police in the area even carried out an investigation around the time that this first came to light. They eventually ended their search as no crimes had actually been committed in the videos, but schools are still warning parents to this day about Smart Schoolboy 9 and the many copycat accounts that have popped up since he was exposed. August. Human meat on Chinese social media. In August, a user would post to the Internet Mysteries subreddit about something that their boyfriend had stumbled upon on Threads. They said that the post, which had originally been uploaded to a Chinese social media site, read, "My mother-in-law sent me this. It looks delicious." And some people believe that the photo that accompanied the post showed what looked to them like human meat. Opie says that they think it looks AI generated or something, but a mod from the subreddit thankfully could offer more insight. They came to the comments and said that their girlfriend was a biomedic, so they asked her. She said that while it didn't look AI generated, it also didn't look like human meat. She says that flesh is much less fibre-like and much more like clean beef. Another user suspects that it could also be plastic parts from some sort of anatomy model due to it looking a bit plasticky, but to some it does look like actual meat. And I'd probably be inclined to believe that it is, just not that of a human. September. TikToker records people sleeping. Imagine falling asleep in the comfort of your own home, but you don't realise that you're secretly being recorded. This is similar to another mystery I've covered, a user called Watching Her Laugh, but this one is definitely creepier because the guy openly shows his face and doesn't think that he's doing anything wrong. In one video posted to his account, he seems to film a woman through her window while she is fast asleep. This is incredibly disturbing and paints a real picture of how mentally disturbed the individual behind the account is. This is likely a relative or the partner of the man who's recording, but it certainly doesn't make it any less creepy. She likely has no idea that someone she knows and probably trusts is taking videos of her in the privacy of her own home and posting it to the public. And for that reason, the reason she's blurred in this video is for the sake of her privacy. Because I can't imagine if I came across a video that just showed me sleeping on YouTube or TikTok. Some have theorized that this is probably some sort of fetish content, and sadly I'd probably agree. One of the captions did read "need to kill," which is obviously a bit concerning though. In some videos, he seems to record his monitor as he's watching videos of people getting out of bed or sleeping, so this makes me think that he's someone who has a general enjoyment of this stuff. Again, it doesn't make it any less disturbing, but it's always good to have some sort of explanation. But let me know what you think in the comments. Is this a man posting for his own gratification, or is there maybe something darker going on behind closed doors? October. Backcountry Drifter. For a while, a user called Backcountry Drifter had been posting to Reddit. He had been actively involved about political discussions and all the shady stuff going on around the world. He was never one to make his own posts, but he could often be seen in comment sections on the platform, and because of how active he was, he quickly began to make friends. So you can imagine how surprised people were when, in October, he vanished. His account appeared to be hacked, not necessarily an uncommon thing to happen on the internet nowadays, but the strange part was that it was spamming a link to a podcast, and not just any podcast, but a podcast about the user. Consisting of 55 episodes, X Marks the Spot discusses all of Backcountry Drifter's post and comment history. It uses the latest AI software from Google to make it sound like two genuine investigative podcast hosts, but why they would choose to pick BCD out of everyone and why they would go to the lengths of hacking his account just to promote the podcast is still a mystery. I can't imagine how I'd feel if one day I woke up, my accounts were gone, and there was a podcast about my life. It's genuinely like something you would see in Black Mirror. And you might be thinking that BCD is the person behind this and that this is just some sort of publicity stunt. But he had made friends on Reddit and he wasn't the type to do this. Opie knew he was real because he had had conversations with BCD and the user had even helped him pay for his vet bills. He was a farmer and simply took to Reddit to get his problems about the world out there. Thankfully, he has confirmed that he is alright when someone reached out to him, but confirmed again that he knew nothing about the podcast. He was just as confused as everyone else. This stands out to me as one of the strangest mysteries of 2024, and I hope that one day we can find out who is truly behind this and why they chose to target BCD. November. 2006 volleyball incident. This is one that I've covered on the channel before, but one that started to pick up more traction in November. The 2006 volleyball incident is apparently something that happened when an unknown assailant would come onto a volleyball court and opened fire. There was little to no information surrounding this, but some people stand their ground that this did happen and won't take no for an answer. People decided on the fact that it either took place in Nebraska, North Dakota, or South Dakota, and that as many as 24 people lost their lives on that fateful day. The theory goes that this was a government hit gone wrong, and when the news broke, the FBI paid off families and news outlets to cover it up. There were apparently some big settlements involved in order to buy the silence. But another theory, a more plausible one, is that this is a Mandela effect. In 2006, an actual hostage crisis did occur at a high school, and although it didn't happen during a volleyball game, some people do think it could just be a case of misremembering. But I came to the conclusion that this is actually a hoax. Despite some images in November coming to light claiming to be of the attack, to me they're obviously AI generated, and during my initial research into this, I found the earliest mention of the 2006 volleyball incident, which dated back to 2017. It was a comment made on the website Above Top Secret, and the user who posted it says that they came up with the 2006 volleyball incident as a simple prank to their friends, but they wanted to share it with the world because they thought they had come up with a good story. So at the end of the day, this one is another internet hoax rather than a mystery. December. TikTok minion videos. It was hard to find a mystery for the final month of the year because there's not been many great ones, but just as we're approaching Christmas as I'm recording this, a new one came to light. I have already made a video on this, so I'm not going to touch on it too much. If you want more in depth, then feel free to watch that one. But basically on TikTok, people are posting real gore videos under a minion AI filter. They're evading any sort of repercussions as a result of this, and this is a still from one just to show you the extent of it. This is probably one of the most disturbing TikTok trends, and I struggle to even call it that, a trend, because it's just disturbing. Why anyone would do this is beyond me, but some people have also claimed that people are using this to post CSAM content to the platform, which is just so messed up. TikTok has been getting banned in a lot of countries and may even be getting banned in the USA in 2025. Whether it gets banned or not, I hope that TikTok can put some serious rules into effect to ban stuff like this from the platform, because this isn't the first time that something like this has popped up, and deep down I know that it certainly won't be the last. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate you sticking around. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy, share the video, do all of that good stuff. It helps out more than you know. And Happy New Year. I hope you all celebrated fantastically. And let me know what was your favourite mystery from 2024. Let me know down below. As always, thank you to my Patreon supporters, Brooke, Morrigan, Entrepreneur, K4 Silver, and Alex Rod. And thank you guys again for making it this far. I'll be back next Friday with another video, and if you do have any suggestions of anything you'd like to see me cover or any series you'd like to see return, then do let me know. But that's all from me, and I will see you in the next one.